What was life like before and after Gus Gear? Were there any major changes you noticed?
So when Everly first had her central line, it was in her leg. And the reason they did that was because when you are taking TPN, there's only so many access points in your body that can be used, and so you have to be very careful. Everything we do is very sterile. You just really have to make sure that you take care of those lines because, like I said, there's only so many access points in order to receive TPN at home. And so when she first came home, her line was in her leg. And the reason being, they wanted to use that access point when she was little and not moving around as much. We found though, as she got older and, she was sleeping and tucking her legs in and, it would kink and beep. And as she was starting to crawl and move, so when she had her backpack, she had TPN, she had fluids, and we were trying some liquid food at that time. So her backpack weighed 13 pounds with all of that stuff in it. So when she was starting to crawl, we were holding that backpack and for 4 years basically followed her around because she wasn't able to wear that heavy backpack on her own. And so, as she's getting older and she's moving and moving quicker, the fear is that she's moving away from that heavy backpack and pulling on her line. And so that can obviously pull the line out. It can cause infection, all of those things that are very scary in a world with a central line. And so later on, I think a year later, she had it placed in her chest. And same thing, at this point, we had not heard of Gus Gear yet. And so we were trying to use, different bands, different things that if she was walking away or crawling away quickly, it was like one extra thing that would give us just a little bit of time to grab her backpack without, fearing that her central line is going to pull out of her body or, even pull out a little bit and then have to go in. And, you know, a lot of medical kiddos have trauma. They have medical trauma. And so anytime that we have to go into a hospital, into a clinic, even if it's not a surgery, it's added trauma to our child. And so we feared it all the time that as she keeps moving, as she's at the park, anywhere, that any pull on that line is dangerous. And so I would say it was a year after she had her line placed in her chest that another MMIHS family heard of Gus Gear, and they had tried it and recommended it to our Facebook group. And we jumped right on anything that we can do to keep that line safe. Certainly we are going to try. And so we ordered one, and it was a godsend. Oh my gosh, the fact that it was easy to put on, it was easy to wash, it was easy to make fit to her body. It had an extra layer that held her line in. You could just tell that it was very, very well thought out. And so using that vest, it just gave us a peace of mind that it was safer than it had been before from, pulling on the line. But also another fear with central lines is there's a protective covering over it, but it can't get wet because if any type of covering comes off of it, it is no longer sterile. So that's another reason that you have to be so careful. So not only is the vest helping to keep the line in place, it's also protecting the chest. And so we learned that with that, we also felt confident that even if she were to get a little bit wet out, let's say it starts raining or, anything like that, that she has an extra covering over her chest in order to protect that sticker, we call it, over her central line. So I would say it's very twofold. Like one, it's protecting the line, but two, also having something on her chest is protecting that sticker around it to make it continue to be sterile, which is super important.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And so important for her to be able to move around and do things and, just live as normal of a life as she possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
What does Everly like to do for fun these days? since she
So
can move around more with the vest.
yes. Well, and that's the thing. There's so many things that Evie loves to do that I honestly don't think that I would feel comfortable with her doing without this vest. And so Evie dances. She loves to dance. And when you are on TPN for 16 hours a day, there's only a little window where you can do everything you want without a backpack on and a line connected to your central line that goes straight to your heart. And so sometimes she takes part in things with her backpack on. And so she dances. She loves to play tennis. She loves her, I say her favorite thing to do is just be outside. She loves to be on her scooter. She loves to swing. And certainly as she's getting older, she is out and about a lot more. And so the fact of it is, she is becoming much more comfortable doing things with her backpack on because she wants to be included. And so knowing that underneath, all of the things she has going on, there's something that's giving her a lot of extra protection is amazing. She goes to school. She's in school full time. She's in second grade. She has a full-time para with her, so is always watching, her line. But she's on the playground, all those things. She has gone to tennis with her little backpack on because in the morning, most of the TPN is gone. So she's received most of her calories for that 24-hour period. So it's a lot lighter. And so she can do a lot of things with it on. Just last night, she was on a scooter with her backpack, and my husband was walking our dog. And so the fact that she can just live somewhat of a normal life and with safety and knowing that there's something there to keep it safe and to protect her is more than we could ever ask for.
Yeah, it's incredible. My daughter is in second grade as well. And it sounds like your daughter is doing the very same things. Everly's doing the very same things my daughter is, which is fantastic to hear because so many of these kids feel limitations with their central lines and with carrying their backpacks around. So that's really incredible.
Yeah. She's found her way. I would say as she's getting older, she's doing a really good job of also advocating for herself and teaching people about, why she has this backpack on and how important it is to be careful with it and not to not touch it and those kinds of things. So I think helping her advocate and teach others has really given her the confidence to be out and about and doing things even when she's hooked up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like, you've probably had, an insane number of hospital visits over the years. Do you have any tips that you would give other parents to make those visits, either to the hospital or, for medical procedures more manageable?
Mhm. I would say my number one tip, and I did not figure this out until I think it was 2 years ago, but every time we go into the hospital, specifically the ER, but other appointments too, the doctor comes in from the ER and says, "Tell me about MMIHS," because you type her name in and there's, probably a million pages of hospital visits and, about her syndrome. And so one thing that I did that I found really helpful was I typed up, I call it a medical resume. And so on that resume, I have, her name, her insurance, all of the medications that she's on and the dosages, all the surgeries she's had. I have doctor's notes from our home doctors kind of stating what Brody and I like to do and what we're comfortable doing because we would rather do anything that they'll let us do in the hospital because we've done it. We do it every night. So just anything that we can give them that will help them kind of understand Evie. And then another thing in that resume is our pediatrician wrote, 100.4 is our threshold if Evie has a fever to go into the ER because you have to make sure it's not related to her central line. And so when we go in for that fever, it's step by step from our pediatrician, what tests to run, depending on what comes out, the plan, those types of things. So I would say in the beginning, 10-hour ER visit, sometimes it's dwindled down to 2 or 3 at most if it's something that we don't need to be in there for because they have all the information in one place and don't have to call, all of our doctors and research the syndrome and that kind of thing. But also just going into an appointment, asking about, she's on probably 15 medications. So instead of, going through those every single room we're in, I can give them that resume and they can just look right there and have everything they need. So I think that's kind of been one thing that's really streamlined visits. Also I have an emergency bag with everything that we would ever need related to Everly. I guess a funny story, one time we were in Omaha and I had this emergency bag and Evie tripped and fell and scraped her knee and I had to go in and find a Band-Aid because in my emergency bag I have G tubes and an extra central line and ostomy covers, all that stuff, but no Band-Aids. So put Band-Aids in the emergency bag. But emergency bags are amazing because then, we're going to Minneapolis 5 hours away today. And I, always bring that bag because then if I forget something packing, I know I have extra things in that bag and get it on a roller cart. So I have now a suit. It's kind of like a suitcase with rollers that's in. So wherever we go, it can just be on wheels.
That's such a great story. Don't forget those Band-Aids.
Don't forget the Band-Aids. I can do about everything else to my daughter with this emergency bag, but I can't heal a cut.
Well, other than putting Band-Aids, remembering to put Band-Aids into your bag, what do you wish that you had known at the beginning of your journey that you know now?
I think I would say the number one thing is that there's going to be tough days, but they're not going to last forever. I would say that the first year of Everly's life, we were in and out of the hospital all the time. We were all trying to figure out her body, and everything just felt so hard and so kind of gloomy. And sometimes it's hard to know where to turn, and that it's, that feeling is not going to end and it's always going to be this way. And I always try to remember that even on the hard days that it's going to get better. And the more we've learned, the resources that we've found, even those hard days have gotten easier. And so I would say, especially in that first year for us, it was just, if somebody would have told me it's not going to be like this year forever, it would have been nice because it's tough. It's so tough in the beginning when you're trying. For me, I was a first-time mom, so I'm trying to figure out how to be a mom. And all of a sudden, my, personal and professional life was, shut down. And I'm at home and trying to keep my daughter alive. And everything's very scary and emotions are high. And now I don't have a job and we're trying to live on one salary, all that stuff. I always say it's the perfect storm because there's just so much to try to figure out: insurance, medical supplies. So just knowing that it does get better, I think was the big thing for me to look back on and realize that you're going to grow so much, you're going to find resources, you're going to find people. And in the end, I have gained such a different perspective on life because of my daughter, and it's one that I would not trade for the world. We enjoy life so much because we know how precious it is. I would say another big thing I've learned is to take it one day at a time. I still do. Life can seem too big with a syndrome like this. And so really, sometimes not even a day, sometimes taking it an hour at a time and not trying to look too far into the future has really, I guess, helped my mental health and helped us kind of figure out how to move forward day by day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good lesson for all of us. We should all do more of that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not easy, but the further we get in this journey, I think the more we learn, the more strategies that we put in our toolbox to kind of figure that out.
Yeah. On a positive note, what are some of your hopes for Everly?
Oh, she is the most amazing kid. She is so happy. She's so tough. I just want her, whatever she does, I want her to be happy. She loves school. She loves to act. And so we'll just continue supporting her in who she is and what she wants to do. And happiness is all I want for her. We are actually I have a children's book coming out in 2 months on happiness. And it actually stemmed from Everly because we were in the car one day and she said, Mom, she does play therapy. And the talk kind of comes from this. But she said, you know what I do sometimes when I feel sad? And I said, what do you do? And she said, I go to my own world where there's flying unicorns and talking horses. And I said, that's my book. And so this book is strategies for children to use to feel happiness. And her strategy is number 7 in the book, and she's illustrated it. And so she's kind of been working with me right now, kind of helping us finish this book and get published. And so she loves to illustrate. And I really just think teach people. She has taught so many people in our community, in our family, about what life is all about. And so I think I owe it to her just to continue to support her in whatever she wants to do to feel happy.
It's an amazing, what an incredible gift to have this book and to put that out there to help other people.
Yes, that is my hope. That is our hope. It's been quite special to do it with her because she was my inspiration. And so, yeah, hopefully soon. But she just continues to teach the world so much. So we feel so lucky to be able to hang with her every day.
Well, she sounds amazing, and it's wonderful that Gus Gear has been a help to you along the journey. What are 3 words that you would use to describe Gus Gear?
Safety would be the one. I feel it's interesting because Everly went to she was in a dance performance one day, and she had a dress on that was just had little straps, and so we tried to do something different so she wasn't wearing the Gus Gear vest. And it's interesting because both her and I felt so weird about it, and it just didn't feel like she felt almost like she was missing a piece of who she was because she wears them 24/7. I think we have like 8 of them now that we switch out because she doesn't go really a second without having those on. And so safety would be the biggest word. I would say let me find a better word. Easy, like easy to work with. The company is so easy to work with. I've emailed before. I get emails right back. When I order them, they come in the mail so quickly. The website is easy to work through. Efficient. Maybe I would say efficient is a better word for that. Gus Gear is very efficient in all that they do. The website, the ordering, the customer service. So efficient. And just, I would say happiness. I think our family is all about trying to be happy. And I think Gus Gear has done such a wonderful job of helping kids and families that are going through so much find happiness in their day, because that's one big piece of their medical world that they don't have to worry about as much. And so again, that's all we could ask for. We will use it as long as we can, all of the time, because we have had nothing but wonderful, wonderful success with these vests.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Erin, and thank you for sharing your family's story and your journey. It's been incredible to watch, I think, for Sarah, our founder here at Gus Gear.
Yeah.
And it's been incredible for me to really hear more about it for the first time. So